This is Christopher Moore, Product Trainer with Alert Solutions, and this is an on-demand training session regarding attendance, low lunch balance, and low grade alerts using SwiftK12. During this particular session, we will review all three. You can parse this particular on-demand training session specifically to your needs. I will cover it as attendance alerts, followed by low lunch balance alerts, and finally low grade alerts, all using the SwiftK12 environment. Within the embedded knowledge base for SwiftK12, you will find a section called Automated Alerts, and then you will find attendance alerts, lunch balance, and low grade alert subcategories. Within those subcategories, you will find sample content for attendance alerts as well as lunch balance and low grade alerts from within. Let's get started. In order to go into SwiftK12 to do the attendance alerts, you first want to ensure that you're within the actual building for which you're developing those automated alerts. In this case, I'm going to be using Apple Grove High School, so I'm switching buildings to Apple Grove High School and having this reroute to SwiftK12. One of the most important things you need to do when you're developing your attendance alert is to determine your attendance mode. In order to determine your attendance mode, go over to the Functions menu within PowerSchool, then click on Attendance. This will determine the difference between a period-based attendance or a daily attendance. Most important thing I mention to clients is that even if you're taking that attendance and sending out this associated alert on a daily basis, you need to have this based on the actual mode that you have for attendance. In order to determine what type of attendance mode you have, I clicked on Attendance under Functions, and then clicked on Absentee Report. Within Absentee Report, I'm specifically looking for this attendance mode. If this stated daily, I know that I have a daily attendance. However, since I have a meeting mode, that means I have a period-based attendance. I next need to look at the attendance codes that I'm going to be using just for consideration as I develop my alert. And then I need to go under the Setup section to School. And then under School, I'm going to be going over to the Scheduling section and to Periods. Under this period section, I want to focus specifically on the items that are in this left-hand column. For that period number, I'm going to be looking for the items that are associated here, and in which periods I take that attendance for which I need to send out that associated alert. In this hypothetical situation, I'm going to be sending this based on periods number 1 and period number 2. Now, if I looked at my attendance mode and saw that that was daily, I do not need to look for the actual period information. I can proceed forward. Next step is to go into that alerting SwiftK12 within my Apple Grove High School. Now that I've gathered that information, I'm going to go over to Settings. Specifically under my Automated Alerting settings, I'm either going to do my daily attendance or my period attendance. The core process is going to stay the same. The main thing is tied to your attendance mode. In my case, I'm clicking on Period Attendance. And when I'm ready to do a new period attendance alert, I'm going up here to the right-hand side to this Add Period Attendance Alert section. I first need to give this a name, so I'm going to call this Apple Grove High School Attendance Alert. I then determine the time of day that I want that sent. Let's say that I want that sent at 1:30 p.m. If I wanted to type this information in, I can do so as well. The absent codes to use will differ from what I have within the actual setup here in a demonstration environment. They're going to be specific to your school and to your building. In my particular case, I'm going to be using the following. I'm going to be using unexcused as well as truant. As I'm doing a period-based attendance, I'm going to choose periods 1 and period 2, since I looked at those within my scheduling section. Next, I'm going to determine the maximum periods absent. This is considered your absent threshold. The way that this is built is that at 1:30 p.m. during my school days, this particular query is going to run, and it's going to look for those particular students that were marked as a U or an X in period 1 or period 2, any one of those. If I wanted to change this to be that they would need to be marked unexcused or truant within 2 out of those, I would change this to 2. Next, I'm going to click on this button to proceed forward. Just as you would develop for any type of message within SwiftK12, you're going to determine the message types you'd like to use to send the message. In this case, I'm going to do all three channels: phone calls, text, and email. This will differ based on your specific situation and how you want to develop your content. Next, I'm going to choose my message content entry. If I want the same exact message across the board for phone calls, text, and email, I'm going to choose the basic method. However, I want something that's going to be different for those that are receiving a phone call versus those that are receiving an abbreviated content within the text message. And within my email, I may want to use a hyperlink. So I'm going to choose Advanced to define that content differently. I would then click on Next to bring me into the main message screens. Again, these do mirror the content structure that you have for any message that you develop within SwiftK12. So those that have taken basic training and have started to use the system in order to develop basic messages will notice the same structure here. For the phone call message, I can use the structure that's found over here within my attendance alerts to look at some of the sample content. You may want to use this in order to guide the structure, as well as to use some best practices that are tied in with text-to-speech messages especially. As I had mentioned, I'm using text-to-speech for voice message as I have this content structure here. However, I've also authorized for use the actual microphone within my computer. If I wanted to have this not as text-to-speech, if I wanted to have this as a phone call, I would just deselect use text-to-speech for voice message, and then later on in the process, I will record the message that's shown. You could either have content in this particular box based on the content that's shown here, or based on your actual script that you would like to use for the development of your message. There does need to be a specific piece of content within this box, even if it is something that states, please have superintendent or principal go into the system and record message, as long as you have something in there. But again, best practice is to at least have some content in there that would guide the script for your later message if you do not want to use text-to-speech. I'm going to check this as use text-to-speech just for consistency purposes and to tie into the sample content from the attendance alerts. I'm using the merge fields that are available for first name, last name, middle name, as well as the ones for school name, today, and tomorrow. The today and tomorrow merge fields would work to guide the month, the day, and the year. So it would actually state in the today merge field that I have focused over here to be read as Tuesday, May 9th, 2017. If I were to use the tomorrow merge field, it would be Wednesday, May 10th, 2017. So this text-to-speech message is read as hello. This is a message from school, so it's going to pull in Apple Grove High School as I have that set up within my Power School as such. Your student first name, last name, pulling directly from Power School, was absent from class today. Again, we'll be pulling in for the specific date that we just addressed. Please send a note with your student upon return or call the school office. You'll notice that I have the school office phone number spaced out. That is a best practice for text-to-speech messages, as any phone numbers as well as abbreviations should always be spaced out to slow down the text-to-speech editor, as well as to guide through best practice for the spacing out of any of those types of content. With any questions regarding the absence. Thank you. Next, I want to develop my short message content. You only have 140 characters, so you definitely want to use the development of your content to address what you're addressing to the parent or guardian and what action they need to take, if any, from your message. Keeping it as simple as possible, we could pull in similar content to this. Within that text message, I have the same merge fields, so I could say first name was absent from class today. I don't need to include the school at points, especially if you have a from SMS name within your initial settings that already addresses that part. Please send a note upon return, or call the school office. You'll notice that that particular school office section, take two. You'll notice that that particular section for the phone number is not spaced out. And in many smartphones can be used to simply tap on that particular phone number and call the school office directly. You do have 25 characters remaining in this particular section, so if you did want to address any other content pieces or anything with more detailed information such as your website or any other documents that can be found via the student folders, or if there was something within your detailed information pieces in the voicemail or email, this would be a good spot to actually address where to find those more detailed pieces of information. Main structure for any short content for 140 characters total is just to keep it as simple as possible, though. Leave more detailed information to other channels and other resources. Finally, within your email content, just place the content subject within this particular box. In this case, it's an attendance alert for Apple Grove High School. If you have any templates that you have developed within the email stationery section, they would already be populated. If you need to change that template, you can do so from this particular window over here and replace the actual content. In this case, I'm going to be using the sample content that I have out on the knowledge base, so I'm going to be pulling in this information. And from that particular tab, I'm going to be clicking on this section to place my content within this box. To say hello, this is a message from, and it's going to be pulling in that school content. Your student first name, last name was absent from class today. Again, that will pull in the information from the merge field. Please send a note with your student upon return, or call the school office. Now I can adjust this as appropriate. I can include different logos, different information, and I could also use some hyperlinks within. If I wanted to include a hyperlink, I can do so as follows. If you would like to connect with the office regarding this absence, if you would like to connect via email with the office regarding this absence, please click here. You would then have that hyperlink aligned with here and choose the hyperlink option. You would change that link type from URL, which is the standard, over to email. When you change that link type to email, you can include an email address for the recipient, more than likely your attendance clerk. Place a message subject within, my student's absence, and the message body. This is with respect to my student. And you want to guide the actual recipient of this in order to fill out a quasi form for you. So you want to advise them fill in first name and their absence on, fill in date. Here is my student's absence explanation. You would then click OK. And what will occur once that parent or guardian recipient receives the emails, they could click here and have that hyperlink open up a default email within the default email editor so that they can fill out the information that you've set up for them within that form. Once I reviewed this information and I'm satisfied with the content, I then click Next. As you do with the message development screens and confirmations, you have the same within your attendance alerts and any of your automated alert types. In this case, the only differences would be advising of the school and the time of day. This is to ensure that you're confirming the information that you've developed within. In this case, it is going to be for Apple Grove High School at this particular time of day, using the following absent codes as you would with any basic information and basic sends that you have. It will show you the send via using those channels, the actual languages being used, and the message content would be tied in with the first channel that you've selected, in this case for phone calls. If I'm satisfied with this, I'm going to click Save and Continue. If I need to update anything or address anything, I'm going to hit the back button. I have clicked Save and Continue, and now I have my Apple Grove High School attendance alert. It's enabled to run at 1:30. I'm going to disable that simply by clicking on that disable. If I need to enable, I click Enable. If I need to edit, I click on that pencil icon and I can edit the alert. If I need to delete, I simply put that delete. That's how to develop a period attendance alert. The same core process can be done if your attendance mode is daily. Simply click Daily Attendance, click Add Daily Attendance Alert, and you would place the actual alert name, the alert time, and the absent codes to use. There's no need to, of course, select the different period numbers. Again, that same core process of developing your content using the sample content that can be found on our embedded knowledge base for attendance alerts can be used to guide that structure. Next, we're going to address how to develop a low lunch balance. In order to do your lunch balance alerts, go into the associated building and click on Lunch Balance. In order to develop a new lunch balance alert, click on Add Lunch Balance Alert. First, you're going to give this particular alert a name. In this case, Low Lunch Balance Alert. Pick the alert time as well as the day or days to which it's going to be sent. Many clients set up these types of alerts to run on a Sunday and a Thursday so that collections can be made for that Monday and that Friday. This can be based specifically on your needs, however, and based on your specific guidelines of how you'd like to collect any low lunch balance. The grade levels to use will be based specifically on your power school and the levels that are associated with your building. This can be especially helpful if you have an elementary school that includes pre-K, preschool, etc. that are your negative grades. They'll still be listed in those grade levels to use, so you can associate specifically which grade levels that you want to use for this type of alert. Especially helpful if preschool and pre-K are not grades that you want to use for sending this type of alert. Next, select the lunch status is to use, all coming through the information that's from your power school and your power lunch. If I want to use full pay, reduced, those are the only ones that I want to use in my specific lunch balance alert. I'm going to leave the rest unchecked. Again, this would be completely based on your specific situation. If I have individuals that are not participating in the lunch program and I do not want them to receive a notification, I simply click Exclude Zero Balance. This will not have the information go out to those students that do not participate in the lunch program. Therefore, I don't get any unnecessary phone calls or complaints that they're receiving an unnecessary phone call, email, and or text. Next, I'm going to choose the minimum balance threshold that would trigger this type of alert. In this particular box, you would normally place the minimum balance in the dollar amounts based on the actual balance that would trigger that type of alert. Many clients set this up to be at 2 or 3 times the amount of the actual lunch dollar amount that you have each day. That can be used as a best practice so that you're at least guiding them that they only have about 2 days worth of lunch, 3 days worth of lunch before that balance has hit the total zero. Based on that information, you'll want to put that minimum balance into this particular section. So let's say that it's at $7.50 that I want to place that threshold. And then I'm going to click Next. Just as we did with attendance alerts, we're going to choose our selections for the message types and the message content entry. In this particular case, I chose Basic. I want the same exact information across all 3 channels. So I'm just going to place the message subject since there's going to be an email that's going to be associated with this information. So within that message subject, I'm going to do Low Lunch Balance Alert. And then within that message content, I'm going to be using the sample automated alerts. Instead of the attendance alerts, however, I'm going to be looking at automated alerts and lunch balance to guide me into that content. Now I just want to advise of the same exact information across the board. So I'm just going to take a short message content. You'd want to use the guidance for the phone call, text, and email specifically for the development of your message based on all of the 3 channels. And then we're going to place that information in here. Now I've specifically gone over my 140 character counts. If I'm using the information for the text message, I've gone over that particular amount. I may want to go back and change this to advanced so that I could have a different message for phone, text, and emails we did before with the attendance alerts, or I can just abbreviate the character count on here. In order to place that content and update that a little bit, since it does not truncate or split, I could just say, first name has a low lunch balance of this as of today. Please send payment as soon as possible. If I have any additional information, then I would be able to place that in here. I have 34 characters remaining. Again, I have text-to-speech that could be used for that type of message itself. However, if I wanted to change that to a recording, I can deselect that information. Since I'm satisfied with the content that I'm developing, I'm going to click Next. Again, this brings us into the alert options that we have. Advising of the school, the time of day, the days that it's going to run, etc. If I need to adjust any of this information, I can always hit the back button. The message content, of course, is going to be based on the first channel that was chosen if you went with the advanced options. For the message content here, it's basic across the board, so I'm satisfied with that message content. I'm going to click Save and Continue. I've now successfully developed and enabled my low lunch balance alert. As mentioned previously, I can always disable by clicking Disable. I can always edit by clicking on this pencil icon. I can delete it. And if I'm ready to actually get that started, I can enable directly from here. That's how to develop your low lunch balance alerts. Finally, we will look at the development of your low grade alerts. Low grade alerts can be developed in the same manner, pulling in the same type of information directly from your building. Different use cases can be associated. Certain clients use this specifically for low grade alerts. Others are using it for eligibility for different activities. If you're falling within a certain low grade limit, you may not be able to continue in a certain activity. So some interesting things that can be done based on the different client scope. In order to do those low grade alerts, click Add Low Grade Alert. The grade items that you see here are going to be specifically surrounding your basic setup and within your specific power school. Therefore, the information that I'm showing within my low grade items will differ from the demo environment that I'm in right now to that which is in your specific power school. As we've discussed with low lunch balance, as well as to develop our attendance alerts, we're going to give this an alert name. In this case, I'm going to do Apple Grove High School Low Grade Alert. I then determine the days and the times to send this, whether it be Tuesdays at 5 p.m. I can adjust as follows. And then click on that box. Again, those grade items are going to be specific based on your specific building and the grade items that are tied in, so they will differ from what you're seeing here. In my case, I want to send for those that are at C, C+, and C-. Those in my hypothetical case will be the grades that I need to send out each week, as those are going to be the threshold that may fall into lower grades and may lose that eligibility. If you have any information that you need around the grade items, you can find informational boxes at the bottom. Once I'm ready to proceed, I click Next. The message types that I'd like to send is the same exact format that we've looked at previously. So in this case, I want to send phone calls and I want text messages. If I haven't found any information as far as the response from emails, I may not want to choose that particular channel. You, of course, have the controls to determine your message types from here. How would you like to proceed with the message content entry? Again, basic or advanced. We'll use advanced in this particular case, and we'll proceed to next. This gives me a box for the message content for phone calls to develop my text-to-speech, as well as my short message content. I'll be using text-to-speech instead of recorded message within this particular section, so I'm going to put my content from within. What you want to do each time with the message content, especially using the different merge fields that are available, is you'll want to remember the actual grade items that you chose on the previous screen. Reason being is that you may want to have content that states this message is with respect to, and then pull in the first name, low grades of C+, C, and C- for the following courses. You will then be able to use the insert merge field of low grade list. This will pull the associated low grades listing based on the courses that are associated with the grade items that you chose in the previous screen. In this case, you're advising that first names, low grades fall within these parameters, and it will list out those courses. It's at this point that you would be able to extend this based on your specific policy. It is the school's policy that if this grade is not improved by, and you could put a specific date or a time, they will no longer be able to attend or participate in extracurricular activities. This can also be tied in with any of your policies within your school or district, so the content that continues would be based on your specific items within your district or school. In my case, it's just stating that they've fallen within this. If they continue and do not improve between this particular date and this particular time, they'll no longer be able to participate or attend extracurricular activities at the school or district. If I wanted to use additional merge fields, of course I have the opportunity to use the school name today and tomorrow as well. If I needed to record that message, I would deselect Use Text-to-Speech, and if I've given that authorization to my microphone, I would be able to record a message instead. Again, using the best practice of placing the script within that box. For the short message content, keep it as simple as possible. What you're advising them of is that first name has a low grade of C+ or below in the following courses, and you could pull in the low grade list from there as well. Please contact and place the phone number of someone, maybe a guidance counselor or teacher, as soon as possible to discuss. Again, using that best practice of short message content of what you're advising them of, what their next step should be. Keep it as simple as possible. I will then click Next. I have my confirmation screen. Again, it's pulling the message content from the phone call, as that is the first channel that I chose. If I'm satisfied with my send of 5 p.m. for this particular item based on the selected grade items of C, C+, and C-, I click Save and Continue. If I was not satisfied, I would click on the back button. I've then developed my low grade alert. Again, if I need to disable, I click Disable. If I need to edit, I click on that Edit button. If I need to delete, I'll click on that red X. This has been a review of your automated alerting settings for daily attendance, period attendance, lunch balance, and low grades using SwiftK12. If you need additional assistance, please reach out to our live help options as well as our 24/7 options. Live online help is available 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern Time, and our telephone number and email address are shown here and are available 24/7. You may also find the materials that we reviewed within our embedded knowledge base, found under the sections for automated alerts. Thanks so much.